C3PAOs to handle the volume of contractors needing to be deemed CMMC compliant. So I want to commend you first because one of your early actions after being confirmed was to order a dedicated review of the CMMC ecosystem and its effects on our national defense strategy. What's the status of this review and when can we expect to receive the results?
Congressman, the review is still underway, but I'm happy to share with you some early observations. I think my observations are also informed by having been in industry as well and looking at this. Look, the topic of supply chain risk management, and especially cyber risk management across the supply chain, is very important. Of course, we want the data to be safe, confidential. Of course, we want the integrity of the data to be there. But what we really also want is our defense industrial base to have availability of their systems in order to produce the things that the Department of War and our military, our war fighters need, right? So part of the observation that I can share with you is what the Secretary has so wisely spoken loud and clear, which is we need to reduce the regulatory burden and offer new entrants a shot at getting in and doing business with us. I can commit to you that this is the lens through which I am looking at CMMC.
Great. And so what kind of oversight does the department have into the millions of dollars received by Cyber AB and C3PAOs from the frankly exorbitant fees that they're charging for their services?
A lot of the supply chain risk management, even in industry, Congressman, is conducted by third parties. The volume of it is so enormous. We couldn't possibly hire enough people to do all of those assessments. That said, the oversight does come through my office, and we are having a look at that as well to see where we can be streamlining things, looking first at the totality of CMMC and how we can be addressing the Secretary's direction of reducing regulatory burden, but then also looking to see how we can streamline these efforts too.
Okay, and I've got just a couple of seconds left, but let's talk about overclassification. What's your office doing to ensure the department's not overclassifying CUI basic information and data?
A topic near to my heart. We are right in the thick of looking at this right now, Congressman.
Great. All right. Thank you. And I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Vindman. You are now recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. So the Department of Defense, first of all, welcome, Ms. Davies. Good to see you. The Department of Defense Inspector General recently found that the Department of the Navy has made minimal progress in mitigating known cyber vulnerabilities across defense critical infrastructure. In many cases, there was no clear ownership of systems, no defined responsibility for risk management, in some cases, no visibility into whether vulnerabilities had even been addressed. That's not just a process failure, it is mission risk. These systems underpin our ability to deploy, support, and sustain military operations worldwide. At the same time, the threat environment is becoming more severe. The intelligence community assesses that cyber actors from China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and criminal ransomware groups pose persistent and growing threats to U.S. networks and critical infrastructure, with the capacity to pre-position for or execute disruptive and destructive attacks. China in particular is identified as the most active and persistent cyber threat, while Russia continues to field advanced cyber capabilities and non-state actors are increasing the speed and scale of attacks against critical infrastructure. This means we're facing a reality where adversaries are not just probing our systems, they're actively preparing the battlefield in cyberspace. Concurrently, advances in digital twin technology, which creates virtual and data-driven representation of real-world systems, allows operators to model infrastructure, simulate disruptions, and test mitigation strategies in real time. These systems integrate sensor data from physical assets and run simulations that generate actionable insights back to the real world. This matters for cybersecurity. Instead of reacting to vulnerabilities after they are discovered, digital twins allows us to anticipate failure points, model cyber attacks on infrastructure systems, and identify cascading effects before they occur. In particular, digital twins would prove especially helpful in identifying cyber risks for critical infrastructure attached to military bases, especially bases that rely on local energy and water infrastructure. For the NDAA, I'm considering language to help implement this technology. Given the IG's findings and the IC threats assessment, IC threat assessment, do you support implementing a digital twin model pilot program at military installations to provide real-time visibility and improve risk management?
Absolutely, Congressman. I think this is fabulous. I've been working with digital twin technology across my commercial career, and I think that the availability, the potential of that usage for simulating attacks, simulating patching across these brittle systems is actually quite profound.
Do you have any current plans to implement digital twin systems or programs?
We're working on a design around this right now. Of course, we've been working through, and we've published out of my office OT playbook guidance around OT security, industrial control systems, a lot of those areas. We've also had a very strong target for zero trust principles across OT. In my background, bringing this with me into the department, I have established a very clear focus that we want to get after this. So we're looking at piloting that.
Wonderful. And then I have a little bit more time, so let me ask you, from the Ukraine conflict, what are there lessons that have been learned? I mean, Russia has persistently been attacking Ukrainian systems for years.